You know, we talked about this process of evolution of society from a more holistic, pre-modern, tribal perspective to something that's the opposite of that, more analytical, more task-oriented, more physical, more mechanistic. For me, the effects of psychedelics, which illuminate the structure of one's personality, for example, and not just one's personality, but also perhaps of society, make them corrosive, if you will, of established order, or at least it's like the emperor's new clothes. You know, the established order becomes more transparent. So. So it's no surprise that the historians of religion will say that in the early millennia of human society, that there was more use of plant-based, visionary plants in spiritual practice than there is today, because those are holistic times with a holistic medicine, if you will. And now we're in analytical times with a holistic medicine. Doesn't really fit. So I think there's been a lot of repression and sort of a co-optation of the plant-based religions, the animistic, tribal, sort of ground-based, plant-based religions that we started with. And then as society coalesced around, a greater complexity of city-states and nations emerging, that there became military control coordination requirements, and that there needed to be a control and ultimately an elimination of the use of these plants, which brought people back down to a tribal kind of plant-based, simpler perspective on reality that wasn't so, that didn't have deferred gratification, that wasn't so hierarchical, that was full of meaning at the individual level rather than at the larger group level. And so to build these larger groups, there needed to be control. I think of, so in a sort of a fanciful way, the early, tribal city-state rulers coming, with their military and coming to a tribal shaman and saying, "Will you, tell your people to join my army and pay my taxes?" And the shaman says, "No, I believe in plant-based life." And they slit his throat. And, after a while, finally, one of these shamans says, "Well, okay, I'll do that." And then they invest him with jewels and silk and brocade and stained glass and marble and awesome material surroundings. And this co-opted priest now tells the people, defer your gratification, your integration, your wholeness, your peace for heaven that comes after you die. And take the pain and the dehumanization that you're going to be experiencing in the city-state. It's okay. You'll get your gratification later. So for me, although religions are dressed up in the garb of spirituality, or claim to be spiritual, let's say, that they're really the opposite of spirituality. That they're arms of the state, and that they're arms of control. And that they're arms of, I imagine the process was one where at first only the priests could take the sacrament, whereas before everybody could take it. And then ultimately, even the priests couldn't take it, and there was some sort of pseudo wafer or wine or something that was not psychoactive that was substituted in a symbolic way. And it was denatured spirituality, not whole, not integrated, not organism environment integrated with the use of a plant, but rather very separate and hierarchical and controlled and analytical, like the way the West has been.